Good morning and welcome to Mobile Device Manager Plus training. Let me introduce myself. I'm Achyutan, Product Specialist with ManageEngine, and I'll be your trainer for today. Before I start off, I'd like to know whether you're able to hear my voice as well as see the presentation. Please confirm the same by commenting on chat. Thank you folks for your confirmation. Now let me kick off. Mobile Device Manager Plus training program is a 2-week training program aimed at facilitating better understanding of all the features that MDM has on offer. We are in week 1 today, where we'll be seeing app management and device security. The second week will be covering device enrollment and provisioning. To know more details regarding our training session, you can visit this link available here. So let us look at the training agenda for today's session. So this is the agenda in a nutshell. Firstly, we'll have an overview of Mobile Device Manager Plus. This will provide people that are not familiar with how MDM works with a high-level idea about the product. This training session incorporates problem-solution approach, whereby I have taken a few common scenarios that I've encountered in support. The first such scenario that we'll be seeing is managing business-critical apps. With more and more organizations moving to mobile-first or mobile-only workforce, apps have formed the backbone for a corporate. Sorry about that. So with apps, with more organizations moving to mobile-only or mobile-first workforce, apps have become critical to an organization's functioning. We look at how MDM provides you with various options to manage the complete life cycle of an application, starting from its installation to deletion as well as update. We look at all the options that are available with MDM. Similarly, the second scenario that we are going to look at is kiosk mode. As stated previously, organizations that have a mobile-first workforce have an exponential level of usage with respect to point of sale or POS devices. So we are going to look at the options that are provided by MDM for setting up kiosk mode. The second main scenario that we are going to see is device security. So in mobile-first workforces, having ensured that the users can access data anywhere, anytime, and ensuring good productivity also comes with its own pitfalls with respect to device security. So we're going to look at the various options that are provided by MDM to secure both the data and the device. We are going to look at how to locate devices, how to remotely troubleshoot these devices, look at the various options to secure corporate data, which includes containerization, consent management. We're going to also look at the options that are provided by MDM for updating your device OS as well as securing devices in case they have been lost. This will be followed by a quick look at few scenarios and their solutions. We'll end this session with the questions that have been posed by the customers. In case you have any queries during the session, do not hesitate to post it on the questions pane. We have got an expert panel waiting here ready to answer your questions. So firstly, we are going to look at the overview of Mobile Device Manager Plus. Mobile Device Manager Plus can be used for managing mobile devices and tablets running on iOS, Android, and Windows. In addition to that, it also lets you manage Apple laptops that are running macOS, Windows 10 laptops, as well as Chromebooks. Mobile Device Manager Plus is available as an add-on to the on-premises edition of Desktop Syndrome, which is an integrated desktop and server management solution. As a standalone solution, it is available both on premises as well as on cloud. We've also got a dedicated mobile device management solution for MSPs and VARs, which is Mobile Device Manager Plus MSP, which is currently available on premises. Mobile Device Manager Plus also integrates with various applications, including help desk applications such as Spiceworks and ManageEngine's own in-house offering, Service Desk Plus. Integrating help desk solutions with Mobile Device Manager Plus ensures that all your mobile-based tickets on your help desk can be conveniently solved right from the dashboard by leveraging the power of MDM. Similarly, it also integrates with low-code app development tools such as Zoho Creator as well as CRM tools such as Zoho CRM, which lets you leverage MDM's powers to improve your business. Let us try to understand the Mobile Device Manager Plus architecture. This will provide you with a wholesome idea about how the product actually works. It consists of three important components, namely the MDM server, the notification services to be managed, and notification services and the devices to be managed. As you can see here, the device doesn't directly contact the server. Instead, the server contacts the notification services, which in turn wakes up the device, after which the device interacts with the server. As you can see here, the notification services are platform specific with Apple Push Notification Service or APNS for iOS, Firebase Cloud Messaging or FCM for Android, and Windows Notification Service or WNS for Windows. As the devices to be managed are mobile and are always on the go, it is recommended that you add your internal IP address with an external IP address. For those of you who are worried about exposing your MDM server to outside networks such as the internet, you can optionally configure a secure gateway. Secure gateway, as the name suggests, ensures that all the incoming communications are routed through it before reaching the MDM server, thereby adding an additional layer of security. You can also configure Active Directory for authentication purpose. In case you plan on using MDM Cloud, you need not worry about any of these. As explained the architecture, there is a lot of communication happening for the devices to be managed, and ports basically facilitate this communication. For example, the device to MDM server communication happens on the secure HTTP channel using port 9383. The MDM server to notification service uses the port 443, and the device to notification services uses these ports. These ports are to be open on your enterprise's firewall or any third-party filters your organization might be using. Again, this does not apply to MDM Cloud. So you must be curious as to how MDM actually manages these devices. So in case of iOS, Windows, and Chromebooks, it leverages the native MDM client that is present on the device. However, in case of Android, you need to install the MDM app on the device for management. With that done, let us jump into app management. Assume I'm an IT administrator of an organization Zilker with a predominant mobile-only workforce. In such a scenario, it is the duty of the IT administrator to ensure that all the devices are running the requisite corporate apps as well as running the latest version by constantly updating them. As you can understand, this is a very tedious task for the IT administrator. Now let us see how MDM simplifies this process. So let us try to understand as to how app management actually works. Firstly, you need to build the app repository by adding store apps and enterprise apps. Store apps refers to those apps that are available for public download on the internet, whereas enterprise apps are those apps that are specific to your organization and are in-house apps. So once you have built your app repository, the next step is to distribute these apps to the devices. So once the apps are distributed to the devices via the MDM server, they contact the respective store in case of store apps or contact the MDM server in case of enterprise apps. Now let us see how this is to be done on the MDM server. So I'll take you to the MDM server. But before we start off, let me give you a quick overview about the MDM server. So this is the home tab where we have got multiple donuts that give a high-level idea about the devices that are being managed. So here you can have a look at the types of devices that are being currently managed on this server. This provides you data regarding the platforms of the devices that have been enrolled. This defines the ownership, and this defines the app type. Similarly, we have also got a numerical table which explains the number of enrolled devices, devices which are inactive, and other such data. We've also got an audit log feed here which tracks each and every activity that has been performed on the MDM server. Next up, we have got device management. So under this tab, we are going to have all those policies and apps which you wish to distribute to the devices. Inventory, as the name suggests, contains all the basic device data, and you can initiate device scan here to ensure that the data that is present on the server stays up to date. This is the enrollment tab, whereby you onboard all the devices onto the MDM server. Here you can see all the devices that have been managed by the MDM server, the devices for which the enrollment request has been sent, and all the enrollment options that are available. We'll be looking at this in greater detail during the next training session. Similarly, all the data that you saw in inventory can also be compiled into reports. MDM currently has more than 10 plus predefined reports which can be scheduled. Alternatively, you can also create your own custom reports. This is the admin tab, whereby you can configure all your administration related activities. And the final tab is the support tab, where you have got the link for our MDM forums, MDM blogs, and other such documentation which might help you in easing the configuration of MDM server. Similarly, in case you want to contact the support, in case you've got any query or feedback, we have got options for those as well. We'll be covering most of these during this training series. But right now, let me get back to device management and show how to add and distribute an app to manage devices. So I'll click on App Repository from the left pane. As I explained previously, App Repository contains all those apps which you wish to distribute to the devices. So right now, I'm going to be distributing an iOS app. So I select Add App and select the option Apple Store App. Now I'm going to search for the app name, which in this case is Zoho Creator. So once I do that, the MDM server contacts the App Store to bring in relevant search results. For this purpose, you need to whitelist the Apple App Store on your firewall and third-party filters. So once I select the app, details related to the app, such as the bundle identifier as well as the Apple Store ID, gets automatically prefetched. In case you're not based on the United States, you can choose to change your country by clicking on this option, Change Region. You've got two interesting options under app policies. The first one is remove app on MDM profile removal. This ensures that once the MDM profile, which is mandatory for MDM management, gets removed, the app automatically gets removed as well, which will thus affect the employee's productivity. This acts as a deterrent for the employee to not remove MDM profile, because if it gets removed, the app will automatically get removed as well. Similarly, the second option, restrict backup for app data in iTunes and iCloud, ensures that your confidential corporate data only stays within the device and does not get stored or synced with any third-party cloud services. The final section that we have got here is configurations. So in case you want to make the app usage ready, that is, the user starts using the app immediately on installation, you can actually pre-configure the basic settings on the device. For that, you will have to upload an XML file with the basic details that can pre-configure the app. This XML file gets bundled along with the app and it gets distributed to the devices. It is to be noted that this can be done if provided appropriate permissions by the app developer. So once you're done with configuring the app, click on Save. As you can see, this app has been added to the app repository and is ready for distribution. So I'll click on this link here. It is recommended that you first distribute this application to one particular device, see if it works fine, and then distribute it to the groups. So for this case, I'm going to distribute it to a device. So I select the option Devices, and then select an Apple device. And then I'm going to click on the Apps tab. Here, all the apps that have been previously associated to this device gets listed. So I'm going to click on Distribute Apps and select Store Apps. As you can see, the Zoho Creator option is listed here. So I'll select that. You've got a couple of options under installation type, which we'll be looking later during this session. So the checkbox here lets you ensure that the employee gets notified via email that the app has been distributed to the device and he or she needs to install this particular app. Alternatively, this mail template can be configured as well. I'll just click on Select. So this app has been distributed to the device and is ready for installation. So how will you, the IT administrator, know from the MDM server whether the installation has been initiated or completed since you do not have the device? What MDM does is that it shows you the execution status as well as the remarks corresponding to whatever action has been taken on the device. In case the installation has been failed, it shows that. In case the installation is yet to be started, it lists that as well. Now let us see what happens on the device end. As you can see, the employee needs to open the ME MDM app and click on App Catalog. So all those apps that have been distributed to the device and are yet to be installed are listed here. Now I click on the install button and the employee gets prompted to provide Apple credentials. Once the passcode and the account are provided, the installation gets initiated and the status changes from install to installing. This status gets reflected in near real time on the MDM server. So once that is done, the status is shown as installed. Now, this is pretty similar to how you actually install your app normally on devices. So one part of it has been automated. Similar to your existing installation method, the installation method that we just saw requires every device to be provisioned with an iTunes account. Similarly, user intervention is still required to complete the app installation. So in the first case, whenever an installation is initiated, Apple requires the employee to provide an Apple account to even initiate installation. Similarly, all the steps that are carried out on the device cannot be carried out by the administrator. It requires the device user's intervention to complete. So the answer for any repeated action is automation, and yes, MDM does allow you to automate app installation. But before that, let us try to further amplify and understand how big a problem this is. So what if your users are non-technical? They might not know what an Apple ID is or how to initiate installation or how to even add an Apple ID. Similarly, what happens in case you need to distribute this app to thousands and thousands of devices? So as I stated previously, automation is the answer, and MDM has just got the right methods for you. In case of iOS devices, you can automate app installation using Apple Business Manager. And in case of Android devices, you can do that using Play for Work. Now we'll be looking at each of these methods in greater detail. But before that, let us try to understand the benefits of configuring Apple Business Manager or ABM and Play for Work. In addition to the obvious benefit that I stated earlier, which is automating app installation, it also lets you build your own enterprise app repository containing only IT approved apps. So these IT approved apps might be store apps or enterprise apps, and building the enterprise app repository ensures that only these types of apps can be present on the device, thereby restricting unauthorized data access. So let us first look into Apple Business Manager. Apple Business Manager lets you whitelist and approve those apps that are only required by your organization, and also lets you manage app licenses which can be associated to devices and revoked as per your need. The other major benefit is that it lets you control app updates. So we'll be looking at all of these right now. These are the prerequisites for ABM. Firstly, you need to create an account with ABM. The purpose I'll explain in just a moment. The second prerequisite is that the devices must be supervised. Supervision provides the IT administrator with additional control over the devices. Supervision gets provision when you enroll devices using certain methods. We'll be looking at enrollment in greater detail during the next training session. Now let us try to understand how Apple Business Manager actually works. Firstly, you need to integrate ABM with the MDM server by providing your ABM account details to the MDM server. Then you go back to the ABM portal and purchase the apps that you wish to distribute to the devices. Here, purchase or approve means that you are approving these apps to be installed on the device on behalf of the organization. As the ABM server is integrated with MDM, any apps that you purchase on the ABM portal gets implicitly added to the MDM server. You then distribute the apps to the devices using the MDM server, after which it gets automatically installed. These are admin performed and are one time. Now let me take you to the Apple Business Manager portal. So firstly, you need to click on the settings button that is present right below here. And then you click on apps and books. And then you download the server token. This server token needs to be uploaded back on the MDM server to complete the integration between Apple Business Manager and the MDM server. So I'll take you to the MDM server. So let me click on App Repository and select the option Apple App Management. As you can see, I've already added a token here. So in case you wanted to add a newly purchased token, I'll let you know how to go about that. So here you will upload the downloaded server token, the token that you downloaded from Apple Business Manager, and then you ensure that the app installation type is set as without Apple ID. This option ensures that the device users need not provide their Apple ID to initiate app installation, thus automating the process. This server token that you have uploaded right now expires within an year, and to receive notification prior to its expiry, you need to provide an email address here. So this email address will receive notifications 3 months before the expiry, after which you need to renew and upload the token back here. So once you're done with that, you click on Upload Token. Now once the token gets uploaded, all the apps that I have purchased on Apple Business Manager gets automatically synced to the app repository. Now I'll show you how to purchase an app on Apple Business Manager. So I'll go back to Apple Business Manager. So you select the option Apps and Books that is present on the left pane and search for an app. So in this case, let it be Zoho CRM, and then select the app. As you can see, I've already got 310 licenses. So in case I need to purchase more, I'll just provide the quantity here and choose the location, which here refers to the server. So you must be wondering, the price here is zero and yet you need to purchase licenses. Apple Business Manager is set up in such a way that you need to purchase licenses even in case of free apps. So what happens in case licenses are about to get over? All you need to do is just come here, provide the quantity required, and then just click on Get. Once you do that, licenses get automatically synced to the MDM server. So once I've purchased the app here, the apps get automatically synced every 24 hours. So in case you want to do it right now, you need to do a manual sync. So I'll show you how that is done. So I'll go back to the MDM server, click on Sync Apps, and Sync VPP Apps. So VPP was the previous name for Apple Business Manager. So once I do that, all the apps that have been purchased using Apple Business Manager gets listed here. The next step is to distribute these apps to devices or groups and see how it silently gets installed. But let me show you another interesting feature in MDM. So let me go for Apple Store app as the filter, and I just select the app. So as you can see, MDM helps you with the license management. Here I have purchased 200 apps and I've distributed this to 4 devices. So right now the licenses are 4 less, which is 196. So in case I run out of licenses, I go and purchase the licenses on Apple Business Manager and simply click on sync license for the licenses to get automatically added over here. Similarly, you can also check the app installation type here, ensuring that it's without Apple ID because that is required for silent installation. Similarly, you can also check to what all devices it has been distributed, and the app configurations that I explained at the start is available for ABM purchased apps as well. Now let us see how to distribute this app to devices and ensure that it gets installed silently. So I'll take you back to groups and devices. As I previously explained how to distribute an app to a device, I'll be doing distribution to a group now. So I select the group, click on Actions, and click on Distribute Apps. I'm going to go for an Apple app, so I select the filter and select CR. Now I'm going to select this option, Silent Installation. This ensures that the app gets silently installed on the device without any user intervention. So once I do that, I'll click on Select, So this app has been associated to this particular group. Anytime a device gets added to this particular group, the app will get installed silently. Now let us see what happens on the device end. As you can see, the user need not open any MDM app, they need not provide an Apple ID. The app installation gets initiated automatically and gets completed automatically as well without any user intervention. One common recommendation is that you need to ensure that the device is connected to Wi-Fi when you're distributing large apps with a size greater than 150 MB. Now, how can you control app updates? So I had actually mentioned controlling app updates as one of the benefits. So you must be wondering as to why app updates should be controlled. Like the updated version that is available on the store might be a patch for existing serious security issues, which means that the app needs to be updated at all costs. Similarly, let us look at the converse case. What happens if the updated version is a patch for bugs or issues that have been affecting your company's productivity? In both cases, you need to ensure that the app gets updated almost immediately. So app updates can be controlled using MDM if the apps purchased are via ABM and are device assignable. So what is this device assignable option? So device assignable option ensures that the app license gets associated to the device and not the user. This ensures that the app license can be revoked from one device to the other pretty easily, ensuring that the organization has the complete control over app licenses. This is especially useful in case of paid apps. So what else can be achieved by controlling app updates? The first option is that it restricts any app update by users. So you must be wondering how this is possible because the App Store routinely points the number of updates that are available as a notification badge. So what happens is that when the app gets assigned to a device, the App Store doesn't know that this app has been installed because the app in App Store shows notification for apps only based on the account that has been added to the App Store. So in this case, the app is not associated to the account and thus not to the App Store, but instead it is associated to the device. Thus, the users will not even be notified that an update is available. So let me show you how app updates can actually be done on the MDM server. So I'll take you back to app repository. And as you can see, all the apps that have an update available are shown in the main app repository view. So I click on the number, and all the apps which have an update available are listed. So I'll just select the app, Google Maps. So as you can see, it has been distributed to 3 devices, and all these 3 devices do not have the update yet. So what I'll do is I just select this option, Update All. Now I want this update to be done silently as well. So I'll select the option, Install Update Immediately. Then I select the option, Update App. Let me go to the app distribution status. As you can see, here you have this option of updating on a device to device level. So in case you want only this device to be updated, you can select this option, Update here. Let us see the option that is available for Android, which is Google Play for Work, which has been recently renamed as Google Play. So similar to Apple Business Manager, Play for Work has got certain prerequisites as well. First among which is that you need to create an account with Google Play for Work. So this serves similar purpose to the account that we created with ABM. Second option is that the devices must be running Android 5.0 or later versions. Let us try to understand how Play for Work is configured with the MDM server. Firstly, you need to integrate Play for Work with the MDM server. You can do this by adding your Google Play for Work account. Then you purchase or approve apps in Play for Work. As Play for Work has been integrated with the MDM server, the apps that have been purchased on Play for Work are implicitly getting added to the app repository present on the MDM server. Once the apps get added to the app repository, you can distribute it to devices or groups where it gets silently installed without any user intervention. These three steps are admin performed and are one time. So this is the Google Play for Work portal. So firstly, you need to sign in. So I click on the button sign in. It takes the Google account that I've already used, and then I click on get started. You need to provide an organization name and also verify that the EMM provider is listed as managing MDM. And you need to agree to the terms and conditions and then click on confirm. And then click on complete registration. So once this is done, AFW gets configured on the MDM server. So I'll quickly show you that. I'll go to device management and app repository and select Android for work. So basically, this view shows that Android for work has been configured, and now you can install apps silently on Android devices. So let me show you how this is done. So I'll take you to play.google.com/work, which is similar to the Apple Business Manager portal. Now here you need to search for the app which you wish to install silently on the devices. So you need to provide a name and click on search, and then select the app from the search results. Unlike Apple Business Manager, in case of free apps, all you need to do is approve it once and you can distribute it to any number of devices. So firstly, you need to click on approve, and then you need to look at the permissions that are required by this app. So kindly make a note of all the permissions that are requested, because I've got an interesting permission related feature on MDM. Then you click on approve again. By doing so, you're accepting the permissions that are required by the app and the app in general on behalf of the organization. So we click on approve again. Now let us see what happens on the server. So as stated previously, any app that gets purchased using using Play for Work gets automatically synced with the MDM server every 24 hours. So in case you want to do it immediately, you need to do a manual sync. So I select sync apps and select sync Play Store apps. So all the apps that I have purchased gets added to the MDM server. Now with respect to the permission related features, let me quickly show you that. I'll search for a specific app. So desk in this case, and I'll select. So these are the list of permissions that are required by this particular app. So in case I do not want this app to use the microphone permission, I can choose to deny it here. If I want it to use the storage, I can keep it to allow. And in case you want the contacts to be left to the user, you can leave it as user controlled, whereby the user can choose to allow or deny permissions. All the permissions that you configure here gets bundled along with the app when it gets distributed and gets predefined and cannot be modified by the user, thereby ensuring that the app is ready to use. So I'll click on save again. So let us see what happens on the device end. So pretty similar to Apple Business Manager. As you can see, there's no need for the user to initiate anything, as the app installation gets automatically initiated, and the app also gets instantly installed without any user intervention. So all the apps that have been distributed using Google Play for Work via MDM is indicated by a red briefcase icon or a blue briefcase icon. Now when you open the app, all the permissions that have been pre-configured on the MDM server gets shown here. For example, the location and contact permission cannot be modified by the user. So having spoken about store apps, what happens in case you've got in-house apps? Is there a purpose for you to actually configure ABM and Play for Work only to install enterprise apps silently? No, that is not the case. Though you can actually install enterprise apps silently using ABM account or Play for Work account. In case you just need to install enterprise apps, need not configure any of these, but you have got other prerequisites. In case of iOS devices, the devices must be supervised. And in case of Android, the devices must be either Samsung devices or must be provisioned as device owner. So let me take you to the server and quickly explain the process. So I'll take you to app repository, click on add app, and I'll be adding an Android enterprise app. So I select the option. So the first step that I need to do is to add a source file here. So once I add an APK file, all the details get automatically prefetched. So once you're done with that, you click on save and then distribute it to the app repository as I previously explained. So what happens in case the enterprise app has got an update? As this enterprise app is not available on Play Store, there's no way the user can be notified of the update. So what you do is just put up the updated APK version here and update the apps from the MDM server, where thereby updating the apps on the devices without any user intervention and not requiring Play Store as well. Now let me show you the enterprise app that you've got here. So we have a filter for that, say Android enterprise app. So this is the Android enterprise app, and as you can see, the devices to which this app has been distributed is listed. So in case I want to modify this particular app, I'll just select the filter here quickly and click on app and modify app. So as I explained right now, what I'll do is I'll just put up the updated APK version. In case I want to change the app name, since it's an enterprise app, I can do that. So once I add the source file, the bundle identifier and the app version gets automatically prefetched. You need to define the category as well as the supported devices. You can optionally provide icon for the apps, or MDM will choose the default template. So once you're done with all of that, you just click on save. So this is how you add or update an enterprise app. Coming to our next question, which is based on apps, how can you whitelist specific apps on corporate devices? We previously explained, POS devices run a max of 1 or 2 apps. So how do you whitelist these specific corporate apps on the devices and ensure that no other apps get installed? The answer to this is MDM's Kiosk. So Kiosk lets you provision the device with either a single app or multiple apps. It also ensures that you can pre-configure device settings and ensure that it cannot be modified by the device user or people that interact with the devices in case of POS. So consider this scenario, an organization with a logistics division where 2 entities are involved. The first is a supervisor who assigns strips with assigns strips using an app, and he or she is within the organization. These trips get assigned to drivers who are on the field, and they use 2 apps. One app to know the trips that have been assigned, and the other app for navigation, which can be a maps app. Now let us see how the scenario can be achieved in MDM. So I'll take you to the MDM server, click on profiles, select the option create profile. So I'll be creating an Android profile. So I select that option. I'll provide a name, kiosk for drivers, and then I'll click on continue. So these are the list of policies that are supported by MDM for Android, but right now we'll be focusing on kiosk. So let us take up the supervisor's case first. In that scenario, the kiosk mode is to be set up for a single app, and that app is redelivery. So I'll select the app. I can optionally choose to brand the device using my organization's logo by choosing a wallpaper. And MDM also lets you granularly control the device, whereby you can control the physical buttons like volume button or power button. You can also choose to restrict the status bar from being shown. All of it can be completely controlled using MDM. Now you must be wondering, so having restricted all of this, what happens in case the device user is forced to configure basic device settings? So what happens in case the device user needs to change the Wi-Fi connection or improve the brightness, or even something as simple as changing the orientation? Now in kiosk mode, with settings and all the buttons as well as status bar restricted, there's no way the user can do. MDM provides a solution for this using custom settings app. As the name suggests, it lets you select a set of settings which will be shown to the user from where they can modify. In case you want the user to modify Wi-Fi settings, you can select the option. In case you want the users to modify the brightness settings, you can select that as well. And similarly, screen rotation, screen timeout, as well as moving to a mobile network, all of these options can be bundled into the custom settings app, and this can then be pushed to the devices. So once you're done with that, you need to save. But before that, let me show you what is to be done for the drivers. The setup is pretty much similar. You select multi-app, and then you select the two apps that are required by the driver. It's going to be Z Delivery and Maps. So I've got all the options that I previously explained for the single app available here. So once I'm done with that, I click on Save and click on Publish. So once I do that, this profile is ready for distribution. So to distribute this to devices or groups, I select the option Groups, select the group here and click on Action and Associate Profile. So I'll select the profile that I just created, Android, and search for it, Kiosk for drivers. So I select this and click on Select. So any device that is present in that particular group will be automatically provisioned under Kiosk. So let us see what happens on the device end. As you can see, this is the supervisor's device. As you can see, it has been locked to a particular app, and the user cannot move out of this particular app, and this app mentions all the trips. So what happens on the driver's device? As you can see, the driver can navigate between the two apps that have been provisioned under Kiosk, which is the Delivery and Google Maps. No other app can be installed on the device. Now, which brings us to an interesting question. So with the drivers being on field, what if the supervisor needs to know all the locations that has been traversed by the driver for a period of time? MDM does have a feature that fulfills this requirement, which is location history. So I'll take you to the MDM server to show how this is done. I'll take you to inventory and select geo tracking. So as you can see, this is the basic geo tracking settings, which lets you know the location of the device. In case you want to track the devices at all times, you select the option always, or in case only if it's lost, you select the appropriate option. Similarly, you can choose to apply the geo tracking for all the devices, or in case you want to track only the devices that have the drivers or contract employees, you can choose to assign it to selected groups. Similarly, in case you want to assign the geo tracking to all the groups but want to exempt, say, a group of managers, you can do that as well. So you select all devices and choose to exclude groups by selecting this option here. Now, in case you want to enable location history, you select the option location enable location history, and then configure when the location needs to be saved. In case you want the location to be saved on moving even small distances such as 100 meters, you can select that option. In case you want it to be done for larger distances, you can select 500 meters or 1 kilometer as well. So once you do that, you click on Save, then click on OK and go to Inventory. As you can see, you can view the location of all our managed devices in a single map view in this location data option. I'll quickly take you to devices and select the device, MRE's Note 5, and then select the option geo tracking. As you can see, the location data has not yet been received because the device is on field. So once the geo tracking option is shown, you have the option of selecting location history, which shows the list of locations that has been traversed by the device over a period of 30 days. You can choose to select a specific range where the locations are available, and you can even export this and view it at a later period of time. Now, there's another interesting question in a similar setup. So what do you usually do if there are issues on any corporate device that's under your management and the device is outside the enterprise premises and on the field? And these field agents are not adept technically, thereby they cannot troubleshoot it themselves. nor can you send instructions to them and have it fixed. So what is the solution for this one? The solution that MDM has is remote control. So what MDM does with its remote troubleshooting is that it lets you remotely control the device over the air and troubleshoot these issues all from the comfort of your desk. Now let us see how this can be done on the MDM server. So I'll take you to the MDM server, click on device management and select remote control. I'll select the device, select remote control here and click on start. Now MDM actually uses Zoho's in-house offering, Zoho Assist, for remote control. As you can see, a separate session has been opened in a new tab and a remote session is being started. So as you can see, this is a device screen which can be completely controlled from the MDM server. So if I need to go to the home screen, I click on the home button. And this is the home screen. As you can see, the device is provisioned under Kiosk, but for my troubleshooting, I need to go to a file folder. So in such a scenario, I cannot disable Kiosk or ask the user to disable Kiosk, because once it is known, the users can choose to disable Kiosk at any point of time, thus affecting productivity. The answer to this is to use remote chat commands. Not only does MDM allow you to chat with the users, for example, this way, as you can see, the message gets delivered. It also lets you remotely execute chat commands. For example, in case I want to disable Kiosk, what I'll do is just put in the command exit Kiosk. So as you can see, the Kiosk has been disabled temporarily. Now I'll select the launcher app and then click on apps and then click on my files and then do the troubleshoot I wanted to do. Say go and get the logs and see what the issue is and try and troubleshoot it. So once I'm done with that, I can put the device back into Kiosk using remote chat commands as well. So I'll put on the option enter Kiosk. As you can see, the device is back into Kiosk, and as it says here, the Kiosk is resumed successfully. So this is just one of the many remote chat commands we have right now. So in case the device does not have an on-screen home button, you can choose to go to the home button by putting on this command /home. When you do that, the device goes back to the home screen. So once you're done with your troubleshoot, you click on close and terminate the session. So now one case for the supervisor. As explained previously, the supervisor stays within the organization's premises and uses the corporate device to assign trips. Now what happens if you need to ensure that the supervisor's device always stays within the organization's premises, or at least you get notified and security commands get automatically executed when the device leaves the organization's premises? So MDM can help you with this using geofencing. So I'll quickly show you how to configure geofencing on the MDM server. So first, I need to create a fence, which is a virtual geographical range beyond which a device is not supposed to go away. So as you can see, I've already created fences, but for your benefit, I'll be creating a new fence. So I click on create fence. Now I'll select my location, after which I need to create a radius around it to complete the creation of the geofence. So I'll select the option Zoho and then select the option, and then I'll create a fence radius. So it can be anything between 150 meters and 1 kilometer. So if your organization is big, you create a fence radius appropriate to that. So once the device leaves this particular perimeter, a set of commands get executed and the IT administrator gets notified as well. So I'll quickly show you how that is done, but before that, let me just create this fence. So this fence has been created successfully. And now what I need to do is I need to create a fence policy which uses this fence. So I'll go to fence policy from the left pane and I'll create a policy. So I need to provide a policy name first. We say geo fence, and now when the device is not within this particular fence, my fence, I can choose to immediately notify the administrator via email. So this is the email thread which will be sent to the IT administrator. So I provide the email address. So you've got a predefined subject as well as a message. You can optionally alert the user about non-compliance as well. So once you're done with that, you click on save. So once you click on save, this compliance rule gets defined. Similarly, you can also choose to execute a set of security commands. These commands can be executed either immediately or after a day. So in this case, I want it to be executed after a day. So I select that option, select execute command. So I can choose to mark the device as lost, which we'll be seeing later during the session. I can choose to completely wipe the device, ensuring that there's no corporate data that is present on the device, thereby preventing unauthorized data access. Or I can choose to completely wipe both the device as well as the SD card. So right now I want it to be marked as lost, so I select this option. So this is the lost mode message which gets displayed. We'll be seeing all of this in greater detail a little later. So I'll just click on next. As you can see, I need to provide a contact number. So once that is done, the geofence policy is created and thus can be distributed to the devices. So the association of the fence policy is pretty similar to how you distribute the apps and policies to the devices. So I'll just create policy and then click on this policy and associate it to groups or devices. So I select the group contractors, and this policy gets associated to any device that is present within the contractors group. So once this policy gets associated, no device can leave the perimeter that has been specified. And once the device leaves the perimeter, the IT administrator gets notified, and after a day, the device gets marked as lost. As you can see right now, there are no devices in that group, so hence it's marked as 0 devices and 0% complaints. You can view the policy by clicking the button over here. Here, all the status of the devices and status by the rules defined gets listed. So coming to our second scenario, how can you protect against data breaches and ensure compliance? As we've been seeing for the past 1 or 2 years, data breaches have been frequently occurring, and almost all corporate data that is present on the device gets compromised. So what happens in case of data breaches? Data breaches can be broadly classified into 3 types. Data breaches that occur between devices, whereby they leverage the native features that are present on the device, such as your Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, or AirDrop. The second category is when this data gets saved to third-party cloud storage services and then it gets leaked from the cloud services. We had a recent leak of iCloud, so you must all be familiar with that. Third breach happens between apps where personal apps get to access the data that is being worked upon by corporate apps. The solution to this is containerization. Containerization logically isolates your corporate data and corporate apps while ensuring that the personal apps or the personal data doesn't get mixed with the corporate apps. So this is how containerization can be actually achieved in Android devices. As you can see, the work apps have been logically categorized and are indicated by the red briefcase icon. However, in case of iOS, both the personal and the corporate apps coexist within the same space, and this can lead to a lot of unauthorized data access problems. I'll show you an example for this one. So this is an email attachment that has been that's showing on a corporate email address. And when I try to access this email attachment, there are options being shown. So the first option is that I can share this corporate email attachment to any other device using AirDrop. I can open it using personal apps, and I can open it using corporate apps as well. This is not an ideal scenario. The ideal scenario is one where only the corporate apps can access the email attachments. Now, though containerization is not explicitly provided by Apple, MDM lets you achieve this by configuring a group of restrictions. Now, I'll show you how this is done on the MDM server. So I'll take you to the MDM server, click on Profiles, and click on Create Profile, and select Apple. I'll provide a profile name, Containerization, and click on Continue. I'll click on Restrictions first. So firstly, I would want to restrict screenshots and screen recording. And I'll also want to restrict AirDrop. And once that is done, you can choose to configure any other restrictions, such as restricting AirPrint in case you want, or in case you want to adhere to specific organization security policies. So once I'm done with restricting these two, I'll select the option Security from the left pane. I would not want the data from managed apps to be shared to unmanaged apps, so I restrict that option. Similarly, I would want the opposite case to be restricted as well. I wouldn't want the data from the unmanaged apps to be shared to managed apps as well. Similarly, you can also ensure that the backup that is present on the device is encrypted, so that even if anyone gets to access the device in an unauthorized manner, they still cannot make sense of the backup because it is encrypted. Similarly, I go to Advanced Security. So I can choose to restrict USB connections as well. And I can also restrict iTunes pairing. And in case of network and roaming, I can choose to restrict Bluetooth as well. And similarly, I can also ensure that the Wi-Fi the device connects to can be done only if it's distributed via MDM, ensuring that only managed connections are the ones to which the device connects to. Let us see what happens when this policy gets associated to the devices. So after policy, only these corporate apps can be used to access the email attachment. Now, we have spoken about email attachment, but what happens to accessing confidential documents in a secure way? So MDM provides you with content management, which lets you seamlessly distribute documents, and these documents can be downloaded and viewed only using the MDM app. Thus, cannot be accessed by any third-party services because it is sandboxed. So I'll quickly show you on the MDM server how this is done. Device management, content management. So all you need to do is add an app here, add your document here, and then distribute it by clicking on the share button. So this is one of the common scenarios that you might have encountered in your organization, where the sales team needs access to a confidential document prior to a client meeting. So what you do is just distribute this document, and this confidential document can be viewed only using the MDM app and cannot be shared to any third-party cloud services. So what happens in case you want to update this app? All you need to do is share the updated version on the doc repository and update it on the devices by clicking on the update option. So let us see what happens on the device end. So I'll click on the documents button, and all the documents that have been shared to this particular device gets listed. I click on the download button, and then I can view the document. This was the scenario that I previously explained, how you update the document on the end user's device. So you select the document, click on modify, and then update the newer version here. So other advantage is that once you delete this document from the doc repository, it gets automatically removed from the devices as well. Now, automating OS updates. So you must be wondering as to why I need to automate OS updates. So the primary, this can be understood if you understand, this can be understood if you know the primary disadvantage of running outdated OS versions. It ends up in the devices missing out on critical security patches, and older OS versions tend to get slower with time, thereby affecting productivity. So if you allow the users to update the OS in an ad hoc manner, there are still problems, loss of productivity, whereby the users update it during work hours, thereby affecting productivity, or the enterprise app that's being used by the enterprise app being used by the workforce might not be compatible with the latest OS version. So the solution for this is to automate OS updates. So the advantages here is that the advantage with scheduling OS updates is that you need to configure the schedule only once, and it has options for immediate, delayed, and window deployment. And users can also have this option of getting notified or skipping updates as well. Now let me quickly show you that. I'll go to the server, automate OS updates, create policy. I'll be creating an Android policy. So as I showed you, as I explained you previously, you can choose to deploy the OS immediately on devices in case there is a security vulnerability and the OS needs to be patched, or you can choose to delay it for 3 days. During this time, you can distribute the OS update to a specific set of test devices, see if the apps work fine, and then deploy it to the other devices. You can also notify the users in case they are doing some critical work. They can probably save it and ensure that there's an impending OS update. Or in case the work cannot be saved, you can allow the users to skip deployment. Similarly, you can choose to create a deployment window and ensure that the OS gets updated only on non-work hours, thereby not affecting your productivity. So the last part of this security scenario is securing devices when they are lost or stolen. So what happens in case the device is not with your employees? If it is with the employees, you can configure a whole lot of policies. But what happens in case the employee has lost or stolen the devices? Mobile devices being handy and portable, the chance of it getting stolen or lost is very high. And understanding this, MDM has come up with a feature, lost mode, which can help you secure devices that are lost or stolen. So I'll go to the inventory and select the device, memory smoke by, and click on actions, device, and enable lost mode. So I'll provide a contact number, and I can optionally display a message on the lock screen. So what this does is that when the device is with the person and they want to hand back the device, they can click on this call option and the call will be placed to this particular number, after which you can retrieve the device. The option that the message that the device is lost is shown as well. I'm going to click on next. And in case the device is the person who knows the passcode, so even if you lock the device, it will unlock it by providing the passcode. So to circumvent this disadvantage, you can optionally reset the passcode and provide a new passcode here. And this passcode will also be mailed to the device user. In case you want to audit the entire process, you can provide a ticket ID and a message. And click on locate. So the lost mode gets initiated, and once the device comes online, the lost mode will be available. As you can see, the device has been marked as lost. So in case you know the location and it's with the organization premises, you can go for a remote alarm, or in case you have not found the device for quite some time, you can choose to either completely wipe the device, which is erase data, or just wipe the corporate contents on it using corporate wipe. This is what happens on the device end. As you can see, the message is being shown, and clicking on this call button will place a call to this number. This brings us to the end of the main scenarios. Now let us quickly look at a few other scenarios and their solutions. So is there a way by which I can remove apps that are previously available on the devices? These were the apps that were not installed by MDM. You can most certainly do that using app blacklisting. So I'll quickly take you to the MDM server, select apps from the left pane on the inventory tab, and select a particular app and click on blacklist app. So this blacklisting can be done for all devices or for specific groups. So in case you want to exempt your managers and want this restriction only on the POS devices, you can bundle all the devices into a group and then distribute and then blacklist this particular app. So what are the types of apps that can be blacklisted using MDM? So it lets you blacklist pre-installed apps or user-installed apps, or even those apps that have been distributed by MDM. You can choose to uninstall these apps immediately, or probably notify users, or do both, like notify users as well as uninstall. So once you have configured the settings, you click on save. The second scenario is the organization has provided full internet access but wants to restrict specific websites to prevent unauthorized data access or loss of productivity. Can this be achieved? And most certainly this can be achieved using MDM's profiles. So I'll take you back to the server, click on device management, select profiles, create a profile, Android, provide a name, and select the option web content filter. So now I want to blacklist, say, youtube.com. So I select the options. So I provide the URL youtube.com. So once I provide youtube.com and push this profile to a device, youtube.com cannot be accessed from the device. My workforce is extensively mobile only. We try to secure the devices using certificates. Can MDM help me with that? Most certainly, MDM can help you with this. We have got a policy for certificates whereby you just add the certificate here and this can be distributed to the devices. Similarly, for scalable distribution of certificates, we also support simple certificate enrollment protocol or SCEP. Want to ensure that all the network communication taking place on the device is routed through a secure proxy. Can this be done? Most certainly this can be done. You can choose to configure a global proxy for the device, ensuring that all the network communications taking place on the device is routed through a secure enterprise proxy. The last scenario is an employee has hard reset his device and left the organization. The device is to be handed over to a new employee, but now when the device gets factory reset, it's asking for users' credentials. Can MDM help me with this case? If this happens when factory reset protection is enabled automatically on the device. Factory reset protection ensures that when you factory reset a device, it requires the previous user's credentials. This is to prevent stolen devices from being used again. However, this becomes a bane for corporate devices. So MDM provides you with an option to overcome this, which is Enterprise Factory Reset Protection. With Enterprise Factory Reset Protection, or EFRP, you can provide an email account here, and this email account acts as the master account for all such FRP-enabled devices. So when it asks for the previous user's credentials, you can provide the account that has been given here, and the device will be unlocked and can be reused again. So we have come to the question section. So the question, we are a logistics company and we provide Android devices to our drivers for tracking purposes. Is there a way by which the users cannot disable the location service and it's always enabled? And most certainly we have this option as well. Let me take you to the server, restrictions, location settings. And instead of the location services being user controlled, you can keep this option always on. You can also choose to restrict mock locations as well as Google Maps. Does MDM let me share contact details and calendar events to iOS devices over the air? Yes, MDM has got two policies specifically for this purpose. Calendar sync uses CalDAV to sync calendar events across iOS devices, and contact sync uses CardDAV to do that for contacts. I want to ensure that the IT approved apps installed using MDM must not be removed by the user. Is it possible? Most certainly this is possible. Let me quickly show you that. Go to applications and restrict this option of uninstalling apps. So once this is done, users cannot uninstall the IT approved apps. I want to ensure devices are connected only to those secure Wi-Fi networks that are distributed via MDM. Can this be achieved? As stated during the session, this can most certainly be achieved. So I'll select the option. When I select this option, connect to Wi-Fi only if distributed via MDM, only those Wi-Fi SSIDs that have been configured using the MDM's Wi-Fi policy can be connected by the device. This brings us to the end of the training session. If you like this training session, there will be a survey that will be shown once you close this session, where you can rate us on a scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is the best. The next training schedule will be on device enrollment and provisioning, which will be conducted on March 28, 2019 at 11:30 EDT. Thank you and have a great day.